Hello everyone and good morning. I obviously just woke up. I wanted to make this video because this has been a routine that's kind of helped me really boost my mood and pick myself up out of sadness and depression, and I feel like it could be something you put on and maybe it will help motivate you. As a lot of you guys know, I recently lost my mom throughout the holidays, which I did make an episode about that and losing her, but then I also did make an episode on all the things that really helped get myself out of a depression and get my spark back for life. And so it's a little bit more detailed. So if you want those two episodes, I'll have those linked down below. They're on my second channel, which is my podcast, the Globe Secrets podcast. But in the video of picking myself up out of depression, I was talking about the power of your morning routine. And I've really been trying to ground myself in my morning routines and start my mornings off right, and really just focusing on doing small or even big things that really help boost my mood. Like, I just want to be in a good mood and feel at peace, and it's not necessarily even being super productive and hitting a bunch of goals, but it's just so that when I go to sleep at night, but also when I wake up in the morning and I open my eyes, I am not dreading the day, feeling like it's not something that I want to participate in. And so I'm going to just show you some of the things that I have been doing, which has been a little different than my typical morning routine, which I feel like I have worked on trying not to do the standard morning routine that everyone else does for many years, because I feel like it never sticks. You know, forcing yourself to wake up super early, and then the first thing you do is do a workout, and then you have to do a meditation for like 20 minutes. Like, if that doesn't work for you, stop forcing yourself to do it. Take it from me, I have spent many years trying to like curate my own morning routine, and it's really just not needed for you to do things you don't want to do. Of course it is needed for you to do the things that make you feel good, but there's so many ways that you can create your own morning routine. And I also think that it does not need to be the same every single day. For me, my mood is not the same every single day. My physical well-being and how I feel is not the same every single day. For me, I cycle sync, so there's different phases of my period that I'm in that I might not have as much energy as others, or life happens, like how my life has been right now, and we have to change things. And so if you're going through a hard time, or if you just have not been able to find the motivation to get up and have a good morning routine, the only thing you need to do is love yourself through the process and give yourself grace, and also just make it enjoyable. Like, you don't need another hard thing on your plate. And I think that's what I did for years when it came to any sort of routine or self-care or anything. I really came at myself from this place of like self-hate and pushing myself through things and focusing on discipline so much to the point where it just felt like jail. And then I never ended up sticking to anything, and I never enjoyed my mornings. So anyways, I woke up at like it's saying 7:58. I'm looking at my sleep score on Ultra Human. This is the Ultra Human ring that I'm wearing right now. My hands look very pale and no nails right now, so please don't mind this, but this is the ring that I use to track my sleep, my steps, my cycle. I love it. I've talked about it many times. I do have a discount code. This video is not sponsored by them, but I do have a discount code, Alicia10, which will be linked down below. But I have been allowing myself to sleep as much as I really need, and I think that that's definitely important when it comes to your mental health. So I actually got 8 hours of sleep, 4 full sleep cycles, which is great. I like waking up and seeing that that number is green, because it hasn't been green for so freaking long. Now, usually when I wake up, I try not to even listen to anything, because I feel like it's good to spend some time with your thoughts, and it feels sometimes good to just have nothing playing. But I do know sometimes, like, when you're not in a good mood, you'll let your crappy thoughts take over. So if you are having crappy thoughts, or if I am, sometimes I like to play something that's like a podcast or like a YouTube video or whatever. Now this morning I had really good thoughts, but I was playing Grow with Johanna Sophia is her like main channel. She is a really big content creator. I actually worked with her app a few years ago on my channel, but she does like at-home workouts and stuff. And she has so many subscribers. She's been so successful, and she made a video called I gained 10 million followers by mastering this, and the whole entire video is all these mindset shifts. And even though I'm not looking for advice when it comes to really growing my social media, it wasn't really that. The content within that video literally just speaks life into your soul. So I actually would really recommend watching that, and watching it if you want to be a content creator, but also if you have ever been wanting to take a leap or a step in the direction of your purpose. It doesn't have to be you being a content creator. I just think that it was really great, and I was listening to it last night, so I knew I wanted to listen to that. So that's what I did, and I just drink some water right in the morning, and then I will have my probiotic, which I will show you guys right now. After I have my probiotic is when I do a little bit of yoga in the morning. And I want to just quickly talk about baby steps when it comes to any habit, but definitely movement. It took me a while to even add a 20-minute yoga practice on my routine after being out of it for so long in general, because I also had a flare-up happen with my IBD even before I lost my mom. And then of course, like, I just was not feeling like doing really anything when I did lose her. So when I knew I wanted to incorporate more movement into my day routine, I knew that I had to start very slow, and it had to be something very easy and something that I was not going to resist. And this is what I mean. In my mind, I really wanted to get back to like weightlifting and going in the yoga studio and doing hot yoga. Like, that's the ideal thing. My perfectionist, my super high achieving part of me really wants to do all of that, and basically anything else just feels like not worth it. But the way I look at even what I'm doing now, this is all for my mental health, and I don't need to do the hardest workout to support my mental health. Like, little bits of movement, getting outside and walking or doing whatever you can will help you, because it gets you out of bed. It changes your mood for like 3 seconds, which is all you need. You just need like 1 minute of you going on the yoga mat or a at-home workout, or 5 minutes outside, and it will start to change your mood. So right now I am following Yoga with Adrienne's 7-day yoga challenge. This is the 7th day actually, which is perfect. I feel like 7 days is an easy little challenge. And honestly, even when I started the day 1, I wasn't in my head being like, oh, I need to do all 7 days. I was like, you know what, let me just do one of them. They're like 20 minutes and it'll be easy. And I really like doing this in the morning because it's kind of like a morning stretch. It's not a hard thing. I don't look at it as like my workout for the day, which in my mind, when I wake up in the morning, I don't dread it because I don't feel like, oh, I have to do this really hard workout. Like, that to me in the mornings when you're not ready for that doesn't feel good. And it really changes my mood. And really just a pro tip for anyone who is looking to get movement in, and you feel like you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't have money to go to the gym or whatever, there is a million people on YouTube that do Pilates, weightlifting, body weights, stretching, mobility, yoga, everything for free. Next thing I like to do is to have breakfast, because at this point I am starting to feel hungry. We're gonna make sure that we eat something, and sometimes I'm not that hungry, but I still make sure to eat a little something, because we can't be operating with no food. Like, we just really can't. And so if you struggle with getting up and making yourself a meal, again, coming back to just picking something that's super easy that you can make, or that you can meal prep, or that you just enjoy, to get yourself to eat something is just really important. Right now, what I'm gonna do is I have some grass-fed ground beef that I'm just gonna put on my pan. Actually, I'm gonna put some coconut oil, just a little bit. I try my best to incorporate protein in my breakfast as much as I can. So sometimes what I'll do, even if I'm making like a normal like egg breakfast, I'll usually add the protein that I have prepped for the day, whether it's like lunch or dinner. So recently I've been having ground beef, so I'll just add a little bit of this in it, but sometimes I'll have chicken. Sometimes I'll even have like a piece of salmon if I need to. I'll add some of this in there. And then I'm gonna add some spinach. I've really been liking to add spinach in any sort of like egg situation that I make in the morning, because it will cook down, and why not just add it? I don't have that much, honestly. I wish I had a little bit more. Now while that's cooking, I'm gonna go in with just 1 piece of, is this rye? sourdough rye bread and toast it, because I want a little bit of avocado toast. And when this gets kind of like warm / cooked, I'm just gonna go in and add 1 egg and crack it over top and basically just scramble it in. I really should be using not a spoon, but I'm being lazy right now. A very balanced breakfast. We have some protein, we have some fats, we have some carbs / fiber. So I'm gonna quickly go and eat this. Time for my morning walk, and this walk is so incredibly important to me, especially when it's sunny, because getting sun in the morning is going to do a lot for your mood. I'm sure you guys know, especially in the winter time. Now, after I ate, I quickly just tidied up and did some of my dishes, and I made my bed. And that's just something that I usually do after I eat, is to just make sure that my space is clean before going on to another task. And this is kind of what my morning routines have been like, and the way I like to do them is like, I'll do something that is morning routine specific, like, okay, I did my yoga or I am going on my morning walk, but then I'll usually do something that's not necessarily quote unquote your morning routine. So it'll be like, okay, I'm gonna do like 10 minutes of cleaning, or I'm going to work for an hour, which is what I usually do after I do my journal session, which we'll talk about after my walk. But I sometimes like to break things up, and I know, one, I have more time freedom maybe than the average person because I work for myself, but I don't spend that long doing this. So I feel like, yeah, I might have a little bit of time to stop and go and do things in between my work and stuff like that. But realistically, even like today, I woke up like kind of later than usual. I'm waking up really early in the morning, and I'm giving myself enough time to do all of these things, but also all these things don't take a long time. Like, they really don't. And like I said, not every single day is the same. Sometimes I have to wake up and I have an appointment, or I have something I need to do right away. So anyways, I'm gonna go on a walk. I also did brush my teeth. I just didn't film that. I'm wearing my hoodie from Abercrombie, and I put on some leggings underneath my joggers because it's freezing out. I'm doubling up on my socks, my winter jacket. I'm making sure I'm very warm. I talked about this in one of my podcast episodes in regards to having a positive mindset with winter and not falling into depression. And, you know, yes, it's cold. Yes, sometimes there's not sun, but bundle up, have the best mindset you can about winter. It is here. And eventually it'll be spring, but it's not yet. How do we just enjoy it and make the best out of it? Well, it really starts with our mind. So I really try and, you know, just prepare myself the best that I can. And when I go on my walk, I really just focus on either being mindful or just connecting with nature. And like, if the sun is out, look how beautiful the sun is. Let's not cry about the fact that it's freezing. Let's look at how beautiful the sun is and how it's out today, or that I can walk today. I can move my body today. Or yeah, maybe the walk is really cold, but I'm just gonna do at least 10 minutes, and that's gonna really help my mood. Really focusing on the stories you tell yourself about life is going to set you up for success, honestly. I'm gonna be listening to Be Magnetic. Actually, well, they have a podcast called To Be Magnetic. It's basically all about manifestation. I've been listening to that podcast for so many years, like before I even started my YouTube channel, like back in the day when I was serving and, you know, wanting to change my life and learning about manifesting. I like what they talk about when it comes to manifesting because they really talk about basically the healing journey, and that's what I believe. Like, I think that you need to work through different limiting beliefs and shadow work and passing tests and, you know, working on subconscious beliefs and things like that when it comes to manifestation, not just, oh, let me write something 100 times and then all of a sudden I'm gonna get it. Like, I look at manifestation the same way they do. So I really like that podcast if you're interested in listening to it. But they have like a platform, which I've paid for and like I've gone through many times, like back in the day. I did some of their workshops and stuff, but during the new year, they dropped an authenticity challenge in regards to manifestation. And I haven't really done anything like that in a really long time. I feel like I've evolved a lot and I know a lot of this information, and this is stuff that I share with you guys kind of as well on the podcast when it comes to even healing and things like that. But I just had a call to want to do the challenge. So anyways, they're starting up like the second half of the challenge now, and they're doing a kickoff call. So I am just going to listen to it on my walk, and that's going to kind of act as like my podcast. That's what I typically do, is I'll always listen to a podcast or something that's motivating on my walk. So let's go for our morning walk. So as you could see, I was journaling and felt really good after my morning walk. I love to walk before I sit down and have my coffee and journal because I really like to slow things down and enjoy my coffee and like make it a whole routine. And also right after I eat, I do like to move my body and not have a coffee right after because I feel like I'll get really full. So anyways, very specific, but I had my coffee. I put some collagen powder in it. That's what you saw if you're watching. And some cinnamon. Guys, the way that I have not been to a coffee shop in so long because I enjoy making my coffee at home. It just brings me so much peace. So anyways, I want to talk about journaling because I have been somebody who's journaled for so many years. I remember during the hardest times of my life, I would wake up every single day and I would make gratitude lists. I would focus on things that I was manifesting in terms of my goals, essentially. I would speak to myself and write letters to myself if I felt like there was something on my mind that I needed to let out or I needed to feel. I would just give myself like positive reminders and things like that. And I did that every day. And honestly, I do that most days. Like there's obviously a few phases of my life where maybe I don't wake up in the morning and journal like every single day, but for the most part, consistently, that has just always been something that I have done, and it has really not only helped me succeed in my life in so many aspects because I'm getting clear on my goals and my vision for myself, and I'm speaking to myself kindly, which then brings me into a better mindset throughout the day, and then I take action on certain things. But I really do look forward to having a practice with myself where I know every single morning, even if I don't feel that good, I know that I can pick up my mood, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I have the ability to sit down and journal and change the way that I'm thinking about my day, change my mood in a way. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm just going to like automatically be super positive, and nor do you need to be. I don't think that you need to always feel happy. But I do look forward to it the same way I kind of look forward to having my little coffee in the morning. Like maybe it's only 10 minutes out of your day, but it is something that you can look forward to. And I just look forward to being able to tap into positivity, especially when things aren't that good. So I think just having a journal practice where you get better at speaking to yourself kindly and pouring into yourself, and having a practice of self-love, or again, writing out how you want your life to look like, especially when you're going through harder times. Like typically you might be struggling with something, whether it's like financially or finding your purpose in life or just not being where you want to be. Having a daily practice of changing the way you're looking at these circumstances and being like, okay, this is my circumstance right now, but I am going to take these steps to get myself out of financial debt, or there's going to be something that comes into my life that's going to unlock a new door that allows me to continue pushing through, or I'm going to get a new idea or a new insight, or just pouring belief into yourself or believing in something bigger than yourself that you're still on the right path, even if you're not necessarily there yet. And really just focusing on your vision instead of getting lost and getting off of the path. And I think that when you don't have a practice or a routine of some sort, even outside of journaling, like when you don't have some sort of routine, like you will get off path, you will allow people, places, and things to kind of bombard your mind, and then you're lost, and then you feel like you don't have belief in yourself, or that you're not on the right track, and you have to be the one to kind of put yourself on the right track. And that's always been something that I have done in my life, and that's gotten me to many places in my life. Like I'm wise, I've gone through a lot of things, and I've been able to come out on the other side. I've healed a lot of things within myself. I've created a lot of success and my dream job and all of these things because I stayed focused on what I wanted, even in the times where I looked around and I didn't have what I wanted. I didn't have the dream career. I was in debt. I had health issues. I didn't have, good relationships. I was struggling with even just dealing with a lot of trauma and all of these things. But I had a practice of every day being like, I am going to get through this. This is the vision that I'm holding for myself. This is what I'm going to work towards. When I wake up in the morning, these are the goals that I have, and this is how I'm going to take action on these goals so that in a year's time or 2 years' time, I'm going to get this plaque. I'm going to have this book written. I'm going to have my dream condo. I am going to have a better financial situation. I am going to have better friends. I am going to get out of toxic relationships, whatever it is. But if you don't have a practice of redirecting your mind to focus on the better things that can come in your life, you will get distracted with the current circumstance that you're in. You will get distracted by all the things that aren't good in life, because there is a lot of things that are not good in life. And I know it can be difficult. When I was going through some of my hardest times in my life, outside of my environment, it was difficult. Like dealing with parents who had addiction and financial situations and my health situations, like all of these things were real in my life. And I had to be very focused and say, you know what, every day I'm gonna do the best that I can. I'm going to continue to keep focused on my dreams and what I want outside of this current circumstance. And I'm gonna be also grateful for the things that I do have, so I don't get tied up with almost like playing the victim, like, oh, like, well, look at everything here and like, how is this going to change and this, that. It's like, let me be grateful for what I do have, and let me use what I do have, whatever resources that I have, even if it's not much, and I'm going to use that to propel me forward. Things might not be 100%. It might not be the way that I want. It might not be perfect because I'm a control freak and a perfectionist sometimes, but you know what? I'm going to use what I have, and I'm going to let that get me to my goals. And eventually I did. And I did a lot of that through journaling, through writing to myself, and redirecting my mind. And of course, like waking up and listening to positivity and doing those small or big habits that keep me aligned. You have to do that, especially when you're going through hard times, especially when you're trying to pick yourself up out of a rut or depression. But I think for most of you, I'm sure you've gone through hard times, or there's hard times being presented to you right now, and it's difficult. You know, it's almost like it's not fair. There's a lot of things that are not fair in life. But, you know, I personally believe that we're here to evolve and grow, and there's lessons really in everything. So if you can kind of look at it in that sense and understand that you're not here to break and to be that victim forever and to live this crappy life, if this is what you have right now, you know, like everything's a mess, like that's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to do more, and you're meant to have more, but sometimes you have to go through being strong through it. And for me, like, I had to be that source of being strong because I didn't have a lot of people in my life that helped me through that. And that's why I also create the content that I create too, because I understand the importance of like putting on a vlog when you're just feeling down, and somehow that person kind of motivates you to do like one thing or to think about something differently. Or my podcast, like I know the power of podcasts and what that can do for your mental health, especially if you're somebody who's isolated, who doesn't have a lot of friends or family who are doing what you need to be shown. You know, I think that's a great aspect of even having things online, is that there's so much positivity if you look for it. There's a lot of resources, there's a lot of great things that you can kind of capitalize on to get yourself out of really hard times if you look at it like that, you know. But if you're constantly waking up and being like, oh, you know, there's nothing, I'm just gonna waste my life away, I'm just gonna keep scrolling and keep focusing on the negative, or I'm not gonna have a journal routine and I'm not gonna show up for myself, then yeah, like you're gonna continue to feel like crap. So you have to take that step, and you get to a point, at least for me, I get to a point where I enjoy being able to have a little practice in the morning where I'm able to redirect my thoughts and my life, essentially. You know, I don't need to, I talk about this actually in my book, which I wrote, The Ultimate Glow Up Guide. If you're interested in it, it'll be linked down below. You can get it at your bookstores or like Amazon, all of this stuff. But I talk about it in my book, and I'm taking these cards because I'm just like using this as like a physical representation, I guess. But, you know, you are handed a deck of cards in your life, like when you're born, like your parents, your skin color, your gender, what you're interested in, your schooling system, religion, the environment and the country that you're born in, all of those things, right? And a lot of those things can pile up, and they can be difficult. Some of them can be very difficult depending on where you're born and this, that, right? But sometimes, and it's understandable why you would come to these conclusions and you feel like this, but sometimes you feel like this deck of cards is fixed and you can't take them out and you can't trade them and you can't whatever. Sometimes that's true, right? You can't change your skin color, nor should you want to, okay? You can't really change your parents. You sometimes can't change even your current life circumstance where you're born in the country that you're in right now, at least. But you can change the way you look at these cards. You can say, you know what? Maybe there's not a lot of representation of who I am and how I look here in this environment, but I'm gonna love myself anyways. I'm gonna do the best that I can to accept myself, and I'm gonna seek people who love me, and I'm gonna believe that there's gonna be people that I'm gonna find in my future that will love me and accept me, and I'm gonna move in different places, and I'm gonna stop accepting the bare minimum from people, and I'm gonna stop moving in places where they only care about body image or looks, and I'm gonna move over here. Like, you can change the way you view your cards. You can up level them. Again, some things you can absolutely let go. You can let go of the story that your life has to be like your parents. Your life has to look like everyone else around you. Where I came from didn't come from any money, didn't come from a lot of people who have the lifestyle that I have now. There was a lot of people who were kind of lost. This is no shade to where I came from. It just was what it was. I came from a small town. Both of my parents struggled with addictions, and I did the best to be like, you know what? Yes, this is a part of my deck, but I'm gonna change that. And the way I started changing that is first seeking people who had a different life than me, you know, and that was definitely online. You know, I started watching YouTubers, or I mean, I was on Tumblr before like YouTube was really even a thing, and I would look at people's lives, and you got to be careful with this, right? Because you don't want to always be like wishing your life was completely different, because again, coming back to gratitude, there's a lot of beauty in your life too, and a lot of lessons, and you don't need to run away from everything. You can be strong with some of these cards. But I expanded my mind and I said, you know what? There's people over here doing more. There's people over here that have this life. This person's gotten out of this. I'm gonna go seek information on how do I change my life and how do I not become an addict like my parents? How do I work through my mental health issues? How do I express my needs and my wants? How do I love myself more than just this physical representation of like people online just like seeking validation all the time and this, that? How do I do that? And eventually you get out of that when you start doing that and you up-level your cards. And now my deck of cards looks a lot different than the deck of cards that was handed to me. But you have to be the one to gift yourself this idea that this can be changed. You have to stop waking up and being like, can't change it. This is life. There's nothing I can't. You deserve more. You didn't deserve some of these things that have happened. But what you can do is take these cards as lessons and look at them just like lessons and give yourself the gift of learning the lesson of some of these cards and transforming them, because that's what you're here to do. Anyways, that's my little rant, and that's what I talked about at the end of my book. But with that said, you know, obviously I have achieved a pretty decent amount of success, but there's always things that I am moving through and healing from and up-leveling, and things that I want to call in and things that I want to create in my life that require me to continue to have some of these practices where I'm picking up my mood and I'm speaking to myself kindly and I'm getting focused and aligned with the vision that I want for my life. So I am always doing things like journaling. And maybe journaling is like not going to be your thing, but I don't know. I just think that it's a great practice to cultivate, and also just to have the mindset basically that I have of, you know, having belief in yourself is so important. And maybe it's not necessarily the things that I'm talking about, but maybe it's like you having faith in something, right? Maybe you're more spiritual, maybe you're more religious, maybe you have a really solid community where you're surrounding yourself with people who, you know, think the same way, which is obviously very important. I do the same thing as well. But, you know, these things are going to stabilize you and really help you through some of your hardest and darkest times. But again, you don't need to be perfect with it, and you're allowed to have those dark times and to be depressed sometimes. Like, that is a part of the journey in a way. That's how I look at it. We don't need to be super afraid of negative emotion. For the most part, it's telling us where we're not aligned, you know, where boundaries might have been crossed, where things need to be released, where things need to be processed. So it's not really about just constantly being positive. You know, I use some of my journal practices to really release my emotions and to feel my feelings. That's really important too. But again, coming back to feeling good in your day, it's really going to start with some of these little habits of moving your energy and getting up and being positive and listening to positive affirmations and writing and even music and whatever makes you feel good. Sometimes what I like to do in the mornings as well is spending some time on Pinterest. I feel like Pinterest is like my manifestation app in a way. I think I used Tumblr back in the day the same way as I kind of use Pinterest now, but I do think Pinterest is way more healthy than how I used Tumblr, mainly because when I used Tumblr, a lot of it had to do with like body image, because I was in my teens and I wanted to like glow up physically. So I would look at a lot of photos of like girls who are really skinny and like bikini photos and this, that, which kind of didn't help my body image, which again, I talk about in my book, but still there was a lot of expanders within even Tumblr. But now on Pinterest, I don't have that same relationship with like photos and aesthetics like that, but I do like to scroll on it. Really good quotes on there, anything to do with home or aesthetics, anything to do with fashion or wellness, really whatever it is that I'm calling in that I don't even currently have. It's just really expanding my mind and giving myself the vision of being like, oh, what do I want my next 10 years to look like? And what really helps me is to see photos and stuff like that. So I spend some time on Pinterest versus like scrolling on TikTok, or even Instagram can just be kind of, you know, taking you outside of the world in which you want to create for yourself sometimes. So with that said, my morning routine is basically done. At this point is when I'll usually take a shower. I typically like to take a shower before I go for a walk because it's just like cold. I don't want my wet hair or things like that. I'm gonna start to try and do a workout around this time because I feel like I've woken up, I've done my practices, I've had a really nourishing meal, I had my coffee, I'm very primed to be able to work out. I'm not gonna be working out today, but ideally that's kind of what I would do, and or get to work. So whether that's editing, recording a podcast episode. I mean, this morning, technically I'm kind of working because I'm vlogging and stuff, but every day is a little bit different. So anyways, with that said, let me know in the comments what you would like to see next in terms of vlogs. I was thinking I could do something for my nights, but I think my mornings are so incredibly important. But anything that you want to see, even if it's just like, you know, my weekly vlogs and stuff like that, getting more into routine and fitness and health and wellness, things like that, whatever you guys want to see, I want to be able to create for you guys, to do things alongside of myself, but also to help motivate and inspire you guys, because I know that these videos can help. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.